I think it was more of a wake up call. It's like, hey, like even though you're doing so well, it's like these people didn't think you were good enough. Like, what is wrong with your game?
Right, so here I am with another interview in the lead up to Element 3, this time with Aimke, who made it through the open qualifiers. Aimke, right off the bat, how was the qualifier run? Like, how was making it to Element through that bracket? You know, there's some killers out there. You had the Foxay, like, Pug stack. That's always good for an upset if you're not playing tight. So, how was it?
I mean, we beat every team that also qualified this week, so I would say that we were definitely the strongest team in that qual there. Pretty proud of us. We got the #1 seed. I don't know how that helps us with like this new like version of Element, but yeah, pretty excited, pretty happy with our results.
Yeah, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe based off the seeding that either helps with like the start of the Swiss stage, or it might even just, I kind of doubt it will, but it could potentially put you straight in the round robin stage. Kind of doubt it, but maybe. Like, so
We'll see.
We'll see. How did you end up getting on Kouin's Disciples? Because like post SSGA, you were kind of bouncing around a little bit, right? So how did you end up here? And like, is this a serious team? Is this like a pug stack where you're just kind of fooling around and taking it as you go? Like, what kind of team is this, and how'd you get here?
So post SSGA dropped, I started kind of just pug stacking with like people. Obviously, there's the Swiffy John rank stack, which honestly a horrible team. Like we shouldn't have won any games, but we somehow almost beat Los One. We made it to phase 2 of what's it called, major quals.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
won a bunch of like T3 tournaments. I don't know how. That was kind of a fun little ride for a couple of weeks. Then HUD asked me to like play with him for a little bit at TPL. That wasn't like a team thing. It was kind of just like, hey, can you like sub or like play to fill this roster? I was like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
sure. So I played like 2 game days. And then around the 3rd game day, so originally what was happening is because JJ's team just imploded, like the one with Kiru, Lokes,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I forget the other guy.
Deity. It was like
Oh yeah,
the
yeah,
it was like the Los Mangos roster before we got picked
yeah.
up by Fluffy Aimers.
So I got put in a group chat with, before that I got asked to Poison to join Aerial or to like try out with them, but I never got a tryout because they instantly picked up Snake, which whatever, you know, hindsight. Um, then I got added to like a group chat with JJ. It was me, JJ, Rival, Candle, and Twist. I think we were gonna like do something there, and then something happened. I don't know what. I think Skunky and Twist then tried out with JJ Rival. They didn't go through, so then that JJ team picked up Rice and Nick, and that's like the current like iteration of that roster.
Yeah.
But then after that, since like me, Candle, and Twist were already like going to play with each other, Candle put in me in a group chat with Twist and Skunky. Obviously, I was ex teammates with them on
1 HP and
1 HP
Carnival.
and Carnival in E1. Then we're like, well, we just need a 5th, who's like someone else we could get. Candle and Skunky were playing with Moses, also known as Chosen back in the day,
Yeah.
on finance gurus. They really liked him. Obviously, I know Moses from the Lycus days, when like that whole friend group still like kind of like played together in comp. Um, and obviously everyone had like a mutual connection with each other. Obviously, Skunky played with Moses in the Revenge Nation days, so like all of us had history with each other. So it was kind of very easy for us to be like, yeah, we're down with this to start playing. In terms of is it a pug sack or not? No, we're a serious team just with a silly name. Oh, I
Okay.
also need to preface this because it's so funny. Kouyin is not our actual coach.
I was gonna ask. I
that's
was
just
going
a
to
bit.
ask.
I remember Cohen DM'd me one day on Twitter. He's like, "You gotta change your name, bro. I got jump scared on Reddit." But yeah, no, he's not our coach. Just as a bit because we all were ex friends. Not ex friends. We're still friends with him, but we all played under him at one point or another. So yeah.
So you are quite literally Cohen's disciples, but you are
Yeah.
not. He is not mentoring you currently.
No.
So do you guys have a coach at the moment, or are you just kind of flying with the players right now?
We have no staff, but I don't really think we need a staff at this moment. We're pretty like all experienced players, and since we also like know each other so well, we're all pretty accountable with each other. In terms of problems, we're pretty honest and like put in like say correctly of like how we want stuff to change. So like it's a pretty good environment. Uh, Vibes are always good with people you know and play with. Usually the problem is like those teams are not good, but obviously this team's good.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I think we just have a really good environment of just improvement and everything. And yeah, I don't think we really need a coach at this moment.
Yeah, that's fair. And so, what are your expectations for Element? Obviously, you know, you've been to playoffs every single time. We saw you go from like fifth to eighth to like third to fourth, flat between E1 and E2. Are we gonna expect? Should we expect you in like first to second now, or like what are
Uh,
your expectations?
See, I made that joke to Poison. It's like you gotta pick me up because I've only been improving. I'm guaranteed top 2 in the next element. I don't exactly know how this element system. I've read it obviously, and I know 4 NAL teams are like in the like groups. I don't know how it is. Basically, I just know I'm gonna go like the furthest I can go. Whether
Yeah,
that's top 2 or top 4 again. I'm pretty confident. Um, just because I think individually I've improved so much, and I with the team I have now, I just know that we have such great vibes, and I know there's like such good improvement that can come from us as a team. That I'm really not. I would say I would used to be not like afraid, but I could definitely tell there's like an obvious skill gap. If I, like when I was on SSGA, playing against like a T1 team,
yeah,
I'd be like, oh, that there's an obvious skill gap between our team, between that team. Where comparatively, my confidence on this team is a lot higher. For no particular reason, just because I just see myself improved so much that I also put like that improvement on my team. Um, that I'm really not like nervous or like scared at all to play any other team in Element. I'm pretty confident in all of our abilities and kind of just how it is. So I'm
yeah,
pretty excited.
yeah. And with your experience in SSG Academy and like all the tie-ins between SSGA and SSG main, did working with like call out and those SSG main boys help with like building up that confidence and like closing that skill gap, as it were, or was it more just like individual improvement in the time that you put in alone?
I think it was a more honestly like I think my improvement in SSD really showed in terms of like comms and like mentally, like
Okay.
how I thought about the game and like just like the basic like fundamentals of communication and team play. But in terms of like raw individual talent, I think after SSGA it was kind of like a wake up call to me. Even though I don't think I deserved to be dropped, I don't think I was the problem on that team at all. Let me preface that.
Yeah.
But I think it was more of a wake up call. It's like, hey, like even though you're doing so well, it's like these people didn't think you were good enough. Like, what is wrong with your game? So there was like there was definitely like a 4 week period there where I was like changing settings. I was like trying to play different play styles, like really trying to figure out like what was my play style and like what was wrong with the past one, like that I can still like compare to like what I'm good at. And I think I'm very comfortable on the role I am now. It's like a very entry lurk style or kind of like gap hitter. I'm my team just kind of lets me do what I want, which I appreciate. I'm the quote unquote playmaker, which you can actually reflect back to like my E1 days. I was the very much playmaker type of player in E1,
Yeah.
but with a whole year of experience now, the problem with me during E1 is that I didn't know when to not make a play, and it was like a very like immature style. It's like I was just like I thought like I needed to do this every single time. It was just kind of like I need to be the hero every time. But now like years experience, I know when to make plays. I understand the play style. I think I have better aim now. I like better positioning and all that stuff, which kind of just sets up the play style to succeed more. So I think that's just the development course of kind of how I'm feeling right now.
Yeah, yeah. And so, going a bit more big picture here, what do you think about the new 3-3-3-3 split? Because I've gotten like I've heard a variety of opinions depending on like if you're a coach, a player, like if you like the old system, if you don't. So, what are your thoughts on it?
Oh, I fucking love it. It is so much fun. There's like the 3 main things with it. One, doing scrims in the 3-3-3 like format. It's so much better, dude. Doing 6-6 scrims could sometimes be the most miserable thing ever because you'll play like Oregon or Sky, and like it's obviously it's scrims, so like obviously like preferences. Like stuff happens in scrims, like and you'll be down like 1-5, but then you win like 5 rounds, and it's just like it's so like it's not boring, but it's like so like standardized. Like now I'm on defense on Skyscraper. It's time to win every round.
Yeah, yeah.
But now this 3-3-3 format is just like it instills you with like more confidence on both sides, whether like depending on the map. I feel like there's a lot more like adaptation, which I remember. I forget who I was talking to, but I said I really like the system. I think it was Crow. It was either Crow or Lynx, and they said I don't know if like you could adapt as much now with this 3-3 system. But I think it's actually opposite now with playing it. I think
Okay.
you're able to adapt more to how you're playing the game, and I think it's more of instant adaptation. It's not like you just played 3 rounds, you know this doing this. It's kind of like more in round adaptation.
Okay, so it's
Like
more mid round than like across rounds.
yeah, like for example, say like we just did 2 direct takes like and we're kind of doing super slow, but it's like immediately like on our next half it's like well we've seen these guys are like being really slow, let's immediately go into like this more fast paced mid round type stuff. Or
Okay.
say like you notice like in between like rounds like these guys are just being like slow, like just sit still and don't give them kills. It's kind of more of just like on the fly adaptation instead of like pre thought out. It's like okay, these guys are doing very heavy roams on all their defenses. Now these next 3 rounds, let's play Lion, Jackal, Deimos and hunt down the roamers. It's a lot more fluid. It also just feels like attacking is better. I don't. That also helps with the Solus and Fenrir nerf. Also, I
Yeah.
do believe Fenrir nerf is a nerf. I know some people are saying it's a buff. I do think it's a nerf.
No, that's
I think
100% a nerf. Like
I
it's a
hear
net
people.
negative. It's
I
a
hear
net
people are
negative.
saying it's a buff because you can reactivate another one, but it's like you can just shoot them. It's so easy.
Yeah.
I think you just got to drone better, to be honest. But I think attacking honestly feels really good. I feel like it's a lot more dynamic. Obviously, we're still kind of in this quote unquote TDM meta, but I also don't think the meta is that bad. I think it's just the evolution. I do think shields are broken, but I don't think that's the fault of the quarter system.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I only have positives for the quarter system. It is so much fun.
Yeah, do you think it I've been asking everyone this, but do you think it benefits the better or the worse team? Cuz sometimes sometimes going down 1-5 on Skyscraper attack was a bit of like a mental fortitude check, you know? Like so who does this benefit?
Uh, I don't think it necessarily benefits any team. Like, I think it just makes every map just more playable in a sense, and it's not
Okay.
more just like, oh, like whoever got defense first is like in an instant advantage or whatever. I think it just makes everything more playable. So whether like that, so, and also another thing is I heard a lot of people saying like it gets rid of a lot of momentum, but I don't believe that either. Because I feel like if you like string 3 rounds in a row, no matter like what side you're on, like that momentum's still carrying on to your next rounds.
Yeah.
Uh, I so like say for example, like a worse team, like they start off 3-0, like on defense, attack, like the better team comes back, they win 3 rounds. Like it, honestly, I think it just makes the game more fair. I don't think it benefits one side and the other.
Okay.
If I'll be completely honest.
Yeah, and so what are your thoughts on the teams that you currently know are in Element? Because we've got the pro teams. You got SSG main, you've got OXG, LG, all those guys, but you've also got some of the invited teams that you know about, and you qualified with 2 other teams. What do you think about the competition thus far?
I mean, there's like only, in terms of like the tier 2 teams that got invited, there's only 2 of them that I actually like respect in any capacity. I won't say names because there's no need to like start like any drama.
Yeah, yeah,
But in terms of like the other tier 2 competition, there's only 2 teams there that I actually respect or like give any like I don't want to say give any thought to, but I respect more than the others. In terms of the tier 1 teams and the MXPL teams that got invited, there's obviously a couple names, especially with the roster moves that are announced and still haven't been announced. So I'll just say, for example, the SSG one with Benjamin Master, like that's definitely an improvement in my eyes with that roster.
yeah,
Definitely going to be I think, a different play style because Benji's more of just kind of he's I don't know how to describe Benja, but like this guy, he's kind of just the goat sometimes. You gotta play around that. So yeah, it'll be interesting to view the tier 1 competition. Do I think all the tier 1 competition that got invited is the same? No. I definitely think some are more beatable than others, but I also don't think any team is unbeatable in terms of my eyes.
yeah, yeah. And so, what do you think of Element just becoming a pro-am in general. I know some, like, it's always fun to have that tier 1 competition and be able to compete against them in game day. But do you think, like, Element going this pro-am direction is, like, a good thing? Or do we still need, like, some T2 tournaments where it's just the T2 teams slugging it out?
Well, the problem is, so like obviously I do think the combination of tier 1 and tier 2 for like the only like prime stand tier 2 event is bad, like in concept, but in practicality there's just not enough good tier 2 teams and like tier 2 players right now to like develop like a whole 12, 16 team like league again,
Okay.
that I believe. I think the kind of, and that's like no fault of like anyone, like even new players. I just think the scene right now is kind of dry. I think it's like kind of in that transition phase of like you do have some up and comers, but like they don't have enough. There's not enough up and comers to make a team, so everyone improves. There's also just not enough tournaments to play, besides because like all the T2 teams want to play the tournaments because there's no other tier 2 events, so they have to play these events. And you're like, you can say, well, you're playing against better teams, you're getting better practice, but in practicality, when you're trying to go from like T4 tier 3 to tier 3 T2, it's more about like reps and just like learning, kind of just like game day experience and like how people play instead of like playing. Like the difference, like you can get from just like playing like 20 game days comparatively having one scrim with a tier 1 team is like substantial. Like I don't think it's comparable. So
Yeah.
like, while in concept, I think like having the only tier 2 event with tier 1 is bad. I think it makes sense why they did it. I also don't think it's bad in this sense since they also separated like a portion of the prize pool. So like overall, I'm fine with it. But
Okay.
I would like to see like a separate tier 2 only thing. But in practicality, I don't think that's possible. Like giving good competition.
Yeah, yeah. That's fair. And to start closing out here, are there any teams in particular you want to face off? Obviously, there's always that narrative of like team vet dropped me. I want to get the clap back. But of course, there's other people out there. There's other teams that you might want to face because they're fun. Because you always beat them in playoffs. Because of this, that, the other. Like, is there anyone you want to face?
I mean, there's no other team I want to play besides SSGA. I mean, I'll just say it, every team that's dropped me has done significantly worse after the fact that I've been dropped and eventually crumble to the ground. So like we'll just see that if that theory tests out again.
All right. And then, just last question here. What do you think of the last season's changes? You sounded pretty positive about them overall, with like attack seeming to play out a little bit better, with Fenny and Solus getting nerfed. But what do you think about like the new recruits? About some of the other changes like barbed wire? How do you think this new season's playing out overall?
I think the new recruits are mid. I'll be honest. I don't think there's very few situations where you would want to play either of them instead of just like an operator. I don't think they're that great, to be honest. There's like maybe you can just shove a roamer on them so you just have like so they can have like nitro impacts or nitro shield, but like the attacker ones also I see people trying to play with them too, but it's just like in all practicality, I just think they're not good. Obviously, I'm a fan of the Fenrir Solus change. I think Solus is in a very balanced spot. I think it's kind of like the skill ceiling of Solus has gone higher, but it's still like a very easy gadget to use. But it's like
Yeah.
to like master the timing now. The problem with Solus before is that you denied so much intel like with the prep drones early that was very hard with the attackers, and then the scanner was just so oppressive because the Solus, if they're good enough, could get every timing that they want like perfectly in their favor. But I think that's like, been reduced, and I think she's in a much balanced state. Think Fenrir is still like a strong operator, but I don't think he's like overpowered or anything. I think it was a good nerf.
Yeah.
Barbed wire change. It's interesting. It it makes it, I guess, a little more scarier. It's definitely like a lot less like, I don't know, because I'm still walking through barbed wire. Like for example, if you put barbed wire on bottom metal, like I'm still walking through the wire because it's like at maximum you take like 15 damage if you're just like walking through it.
Yeah.
So I think it's more of a psychological thing. It's like, oh, the damage is gonna do it, but I don't know. I think it made the gadget better, but I think either they need to go back to like when it was in like year 2, where it was like 3 hits to destroy, or it just slows you down more. I think that if you like want to really like make the secondary gadget powerful, and then obviously shields are broken, but there's just one simple change they need to do to fix them, and that is just add like make the melee as a defender more fair. Because like, dude, it's impossible to like try to knife fight a
No,
shield. Like
dude,
it used to
it's
be like
not
50,
possible.
it used to be 50-50 and now it's like 90-20. Like to try like I don't know how, like, but something with the new animation or like just whatever it does, it's like impossible to 50-50. I think if they just like made it so you could like 50-50 challenge a shield on melee again, they're fine, to be honest. Like they'll still be
Really?
like really strong, they'll be better, but if like they just add that option as a defender where you're able to like confidently 50-50 melee a shield, it puts more pressure on the shield player, and it doesn't like there's like so little you can do with a Monty full extend walking at you, because you can't wait till they unextend, because then if you try to melee them, you're just gonna get meleeed. You're gonna lose that fight.
Yeah.
You can't sit there because eventually either their team's gonna come there or like the util that you're standing on is gonna get clear. But then it also just sucks to leave, because like it's just like, oh, free map control for them, or I get shot in the back trying to run away if I'm like oblivious or whatever. But
Yeah.
literally, if they just add that option to child the shield, it's like it makes it so much better. I don't like. Yeah, but if they don't change that, it's gonna be a little shock for a little bit.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And then last thing here, anything you want to say to close out? Anyone you want to shout out? Any challenges you might want to issue? Do the old Mr. B, we're gonna go flawless type beat? Sponsor obligations as Cohen's disciple? You know, whatever it is, anything and out, everything on the table.
I mean, obviously, just shout out to my team. I love the guys. I'm really glad we got back together. Just like having fun playing the game. Definitely made my spirit come back up. Shout out to anyone who's like a fan of us. I don't know how many there are now because I'm not on like a big staple team anymore. Kind of just pugging it, not pugging it, but it's more of a pug sack type of team.
Yeah.
And then yeah, a shout out to that one guy on Reddit who said, "I'm surprised a PL level talent team lost to Aimke Lamau." That hurt my feelings. I'm very sad about that. But yeah, besides that, thank you.
Alrighty.
Thank you for watching us.